everybody's going strong. I know it's 8 o'clock-ish over in Israel. So we have another exciting panel on deck. This one's called Engaging with Fans, Content, Personalization, and Monetization, powered by Minute Media. 4 great panelists for this discussion. Let's welcome in the co-founder at Converge Media and current teacher of media communications at the Los Angeles Film School. Please welcome Christy Cannon.
Hi.
Hi, Christy. Good to see you. By the way, my brother went to film school in Los Angeles. He's still looking for a job, so maybe we can get him in touch afterwards with you.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about fan engagement with this great panel.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christy. And joining us from Minute Media, the head of global football, Andres Cardenas.
Hi there, everybody. Glad to be here.
Hello.
Hi, Andres. Thank you for being here as well. We also have with us the Vice President, Head of Fan Engagement and TDC, Europe, Middle East at the NBA, George Ivazugu. Hopefully I got that right, George, for you.
Hi. Yeah, you've done a stellar job, Josh. So good to be here, and thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Great to have you. And to complete our panel is a digital health account manager at Facebook. Please welcome Guy Alkali.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
Hello.
Thank you, Guy. All right. Christy, you want to get the ball rolling for us?
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. Welcome, all of you. This is awesome. I can't wait to get started talking to you guys about these exciting topics around fan engagement. I thought maybe we could, we only have 25 minutes, but I'd love to do a little bit of an intro, if that's okay with you guys. Let's start with Andres.
Yeah, so Andres Cardenas, half Brazilian, half American, based in London, despite the Brooklyn Bridge right in the background. Global head of football. What does that mean? Basically, I'm responsible for a football vertical within Minute Media, which owns about 5 content brands: the Players Tribune, 90 Min, which is our football-driven one, Double Tap, within other brands, and I also oversee the international market, so everything outside of the US.
Great. Great. So we also have George, Vice President and Head of Fan Engagement in D2C.
So hi, everyone. Hi, Christy. I'm George Ivazoglou. I'm Greek, which should explain my weird surname and even weirder accent. So I've joined the NBA back in June, so a few months ago, to lead fan engagement and direct-to-consumer for Europe and the Middle East, which in a nutshell means responsibility for all things that come down to the way our fans interact with the brand, but also how we monetize our products and content directly via our fans.
Awesome. All right. And then from Facebook, Guy.
Hi, Christy. So my name is Guy Alkali. I'm in Israel right now. I'm working for Facebook as a digital health account manager. Basically, we're working with startup companies from the digital health vertical, helping them to grow their businesses through the correct and right use of our platforms. Keeping it short.
That's awesome. That's really interesting. So let's get started with some questions. Let's start with Guy for this first one. This first one is about social media. I think it's a good place to start when we're talking about fan engagement. Obviously, new emergent things coming around in the industry, but social media has been a main focus for teams and leagues when it comes to building fan engagement campaigns. How are new opportunities like gamification, AR technology, how are they here to create more meaningful content experiences that go beyond social media?
Right. So I think that social media and tech in general are going towards a more meaningful experience and actually new ways of communication when looking at it. AR and gamifications are great examples, 2 great examples. And the notion when thinking of the large picture here is that communication is going to change and develop. And the way we think about it is that it's going to be more personalized and a more immersive experience. Also, we know that today in the US alone, actually, in a survey that we conducted, we have 63% of internet users saying that they have already interacted or tried an AR experience, which is really cool. And then if I'm bringing it to our times now, then the need to get these new technologies or forms of communications has really accelerated because of social distancing. And I think it'll be fascinating to see how it will affect our communities in the future. And just to add on that, I mean, a great example of that from Facebook's perspective is Oculus, or Venues app, where you can actually already interact and watch a match and speak to the people in a virtual lobby. We can see that Facebook is investing a lot of time and efforts and resources into these new forms of communication, and this is because we believe this is where the future lies. So that's what I think. And on that, yeah.
Absolutely. Oculus is very exciting as a new emerging tech, and definitely can't wait to see how that really impacts and deepens the connections that fans can have, not just with the athletes, right, and the sports that they love, but also with other fans. I think that is definitely part of the personalization when fans can feel that connection and become part of it. So that's amazing. Does anybody else have any thoughts on those emerging technologies or anything to add? Otherwise, I can move on to the next question.
Yeah, no, I would echo Guy's points. I think from an MBA standpoint, there's a lot of appetite to experiment with those technologies in social media. I think you've seen us do a lot of that this summer in Orlando, working with Oculus, working with Instagram to create customized, I would say, and native to the platform experiences. Another example was with Snapchat and introducing sort of a VR lens via which fans would try caps and jerseys from the fans. So I think there is a lot of appetite, and VR offers a new field to experiment for sure.
Definitely. And then the ability to share that also when they're personalized and they're able to create those pieces of content that have them as the focal point. We just know that, fans love to be able to share that amongst their own communities. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. Let's move to the second topic. I was going to start with Andres for this one. From your unique perspective, what areas of technology and platforms are you most excited to expand on in 2021 for your fan engagement efforts?
Yeah, this would be a great question for our CTO. I'm not a tech guy, but look, we own content brands, so we're not on the property side, but we're on the content creation side. And I think we live on our own proprietary platform, and the cool thing about our platform is that we're evolving that in order to integrate with other cool, innovative third-party tech solutions. So it'll be excited what 2021 has. But from my perspective, and on the heels of what you guys were talking about, AR, is I would love to see how web AR evolves, because right now AR is very much an in-app solution and on social. But given that we own our own platform and we produce content, trying to see where that evolves and how we can integrate web AR along with the evolution of 5G, I think will be key. I think, when we're talking about AR and other tech solutions, especially from a content production organization, it needs to fit in seamlessly into our user and fan habits and to our user experience. So that's why we're so careful on integrating these technologies. But yeah, let's see what AR has to offer next year, web AR, and see how we can integrate it into our platform, not only to bring our editorial content to life, but especially on the branded content side and how we can monetize that with other brands.
Wow, yeah, that is really exciting to think about web-based AR. Anybody else? Any thoughts on the topic of what you're excited about? I think Oculus is absolutely exciting. Any other thoughts around that?
I would say from our end, Christy, obviously last season, what we missed a lot last season, I think we'll miss for a big part of this season from our perspective is fans in the arenas. So it's really exciting, obviously always within context, but it's really exciting to see how we can leverage technology to make the final output for the broadcasting partner and the end fan more interactive. You've seen us do that this summer by partnering with Microsoft Teams and offering the virtual sort of Teams experience. Actually, more than 60,000 fans some of them celebrities, some of them normal fans, found their way to Orlando via that. So I see us experimenting a bit more around that direction this season as well. And then the other thing we're working on is how we can sort of pivot and transition some of our products and experiences that in a normal year would take place in a very physical way into a more digital world, be that junior NBA clinics where we teach kids the fundamentals of basketball or other more innovative experiences.
Wow, yeah, there's definitely a lot there when you think about an NBA certainly was a leader from the bubble, all of the new opportunities that they were able to push out there to fans. And as it all happened so fast, even from a consumer, I love basketball and I watched a lot of the playoffs and the finals all the way through. Even as a consumer, it was a lot to take in, and it was very exciting, but also thinking forward about what things should be expanded upon and what will stay after the fact, right? After fans are back into the venues and we're maybe back to what we're more used to. A lot of these things are really cool, and a lot of these things should continue to be part of what we experience to enhance the experience, but also offer those new opportunities for revenue and all the other things that sponsorships and teams are looking for. That's really exciting to look forward at what will stay and what will kind of translate. Also, the personalized experiences with the NBA junior clinics, that's really interesting too. Not a lot of that has been on digital, right? So it's really interesting for those opportunities, because I know that as we're evolving generationally, the younger generations enjoy that sort of connection, and there's a lot of opportunity to bring more fans in because you've just got more ways for them to come and engage. That's awesome. Thank you so much. For topic 3, I'll just put that out to whoever decides they want to answer this one. We've witnessed and we see the growing desire to create communities for fan engagement on the owned media channels, right? So team apps and places where teams are creating their own platforms and their own communities. What are some ways that teams and leagues social media platforms can be utilized to build those communities, and how are they able to kind of coexist? And this actually, perhaps this is a good one for Guy to answer first, coming from the social media side.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, I'm more on the social media side for sure, and I really do think that these communities, both the own channel communities and the social media communities, can coexist. I don't think it's one or the other, in my opinion. And even like when thinking about it a bit more, I think it will probably be a difficult task to move these communities from one to another. But what we do need to remember is that they should serve different goals. Social media is where communities grow and develop organically. And it's where, and you mentioned it before also, fans interact both with leagues and teams, but they also interact with one another. And this is a great asset for teams and leagues to like stop for a second and think about it a bit more. They need to actually cultivate these communities, because it's a great opportunity to learn about the fans, what interests them, what they're looking for. And it's going to happen regardless, basically, because it's organic. So they might as well take all the data that they can and try to understand what fans are looking for to really then leverage it in their own channels. So I definitely think there's room for these two communities to coexist and to even enjoy the benefit of one another.
Yeah, I would agree with Guy. In our case, I'm not sure if coexistence is the right word, but they live on both owned and the social platform. So two of our main brands, one fan-sided of US Sports and 90 Min, which is our football website, they were built upon the concept of community, football communities, sports communities, team or specific sport interest communities. And the one of the access doors to it is social, is Facebook and other social platforms, in which we owned the URL, that traffic or the user or the consumer comes back to our platform, but the entry point is social. And what we found that building these communities, you have a highly engaged fan, because they can relate to each other. Like Guy was saying, they're not speaking to the team, they're speaking among each other. And by directing it back to our platform, then we have access to their data that helps us then customize the content that we produce for them. And some of these fan team communities are bigger than actual football club websites or league websites or and platforms and apps. So I think for a content creator, I think they can live on both. When it comes to leagues or teams, I mean, I'll let George answer. I know it's a little trickier.
Definitely.
I'd say it's more nuanced. First of all, I think for us at the NBA, building a direct relationship and dialogue and conversation with our fans is a huge priority, and the league has taken many steps over the past couple of years to enhance the efforts to sustain that conversation. Then going to the point of the discussion, I would say that it really depends on the segment of the fan and what's their need in regards to, in the NBA case, their relationship with the league. So for many fans, for example, the use case would be that all they need is a fix once or twice or 3 times a week to go on a platform like Facebook and watch a 3-minute clip about what happened last night or their favorite players' highlights, and that would leave them very satisfied, especially also in a region like ours, where there's a big time difference between the time of the day where the actual live event is happening and what that time is in this zone. And that's excellent, and we want to continue to nurture that relationship. For many other fans, it's not the end, and it's the start, the beginning of the journey. That go on Facebook, and we will inform them with assets around different products or services or types of content we have, and then maybe they inquire about them and they get to land on a different type of experience. So in that situation, the platform will work as a funnel. So I think it's really tailored to the need of each consumer segment.
That's really interesting, especially as you look at opportunities to push someone along that funnel, right? Like beginning with their first interest or their first level of engagement, and finding ways as we go to push them along to where they're engaging more frequently and in more meaningful ways as that continues. All right. All right, so next question, and thanks everybody. You're doing awesome, and I can't believe like already all of the great insights that have been shared, and it's so good to have such a different perspective from everybody's background. And one thing that's been a big topic throughout the whole conference has been the emotional connection, right? That has been the biggest challenge probably during the recent times. That emotion that is tied to what compels sports fans and keeps them engaged and keeps them coming back. And we all understand that this is a huge power that we have to connect with our fans, the strong emotional connections, not just to teams, but also to athletes and also to their fandom, right? Their community, especially I feel like in soccer and other sports as well. But there's very much a connection to the community around the sport. So in order to get the most effective fan engagement results, how are these new technology platforms and opportunities really paying attention and focusing in on that emotion?
So
from my end, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think, look, from our end, I think technology is definitely an enabler, but I wouldn't start with it. It's more, in my opinion, a means to an end. I think the main ingredient here is the authenticity. And I will break down the authenticity to two components. One of them is the authenticity of the storytelling, so the actual story that we want to put out there. And that would mean things from being something unique, original, creative, to very relevant. If you take the NBA at Europe, for an example, we live in the golden era of European players, not just playing at the NBA, but many of them being protagonists in their own teams. So a story about a German player, say Daniel Theiss in Germany, would perform way much better potentially than for one of the top 10 US players. So we need to balance those sources in the right way. And I think the second component of authenticity, which has a stronger, I would say, technology part, is being really relevant and native to the people, in the sense of the format that they prefer, for the device that they mostly use, for the time of the day where they're most likely to consume that content, and then in a fashion that's quite native to the platform. And I think that has a really strong technology component. So I think it's the balance between these two worlds that drives emotional connection.
Amazing.
You
That's
literally said what I wanted to say, which is only strengthening the point of how fundamental this is in basically sharing and expressing authentic voice. Teams, leagues, everyone should basically be as authentic as possible, because this is what gets through at the end of the day. We're all people, and fans are people, and this is the way to get to people. And then the next level, like you said, is taking this and transforming into relevant content, which will then be personalized. We've been hearing it throughout this entire conference, I think, data and personalization. So here as well, nowadays even more, because if we're starting, or if you're looking at how things have started, maybe pre-COVID, before these things accelerated, we can say that in the old days, the interactions or the engagement with fans were mostly at the stadiums, or even if we're looking a bit older than pre-COVID, but it was a sort of a one-to-many form of engagement. And now, with the acceleration of technology and with the accelerated need, and having the technology to bridge that gap of lacking emotional interactions, we can create meaningful and personalized experiences. And then we're doing it already in one-to-few type of engagement, but the next level, like you said, is making it more personalized on one-to-one forms of engagement by the teams and leagues, to actually speak with an individual fan, tailoring a specific content or answering a specific request or need by one of the many different tools that we have. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I would.
That's awesome.
I agree 100% with what George said. I think I don't mean being against technology, but I would think when one thing is entertainment and the other thing is an emotional connection, and I can speak on about the athlete side, and I think when we're talking about that, it's about the storytelling, authenticity of it. And I would even go so far to say that I think technology should be unnoticeable on that part. Should not be the protagonist, and I think that's when the connection made. And call me old school, but I still believe in the power of the written word, simple power of the written word on the voice of the athlete, and that's what we do at the Players Tribune. Or also the old face to camera, first person storytelling in a relatable way that can connect with the fans. So on this one, I would say put technology to the side a little bit.
I love that answer, and I love what the Players Tribune does to tell the story of the different athletes. And I think that obviously that's a huge place for emotional connection. Anytime that a fan can relate to an athlete and be inspired by them, and be motivated and just compelled to learn more about that experience. I've seen there's just been tremendous focus on the stories of athletes through that channel. And I agree. A lot of that engagement and a lot of that content is tremendously valuable, even though technology, seems to be a big topic lately. We can't forget about that. It's very important. And it's great stuff that I think that fans are going to continue to desire and want to see new ways for that content to come to life. And so thank you all. This has been a great experience. I think you guys have fantastically brilliant answers to just about everything we talked about. And I got a ton out of hearing from all of you. So thank you very much. And thank you all for inviting me to participate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
To see you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Christy, for moderating that incredible conversation, to Andres, Guy, and George.